Good morning and welcome to Valley News Now. I'm Adam Michelle for today, joined in studio by Michael Bloom. Michael, how are you this morning?
Great. Thanks for having me, man.
Super excited to have you in studio and talking about your project, Hip Hop and Hope. We're talking a little bit about your background, ministry, law enforcement, and really getting into the why. We have a video that you were able to provide us with from a tour for Hip Hop and Hope from July 2024. Before I start the video, just go ahead and tell me what we're going to watch and what Hip Hop and Hope is.
Yeah. So we're a nonprofit based in Fargo, North Dakota here. And our whole goal is to meet people who are in the middle of their mess and remind them that if they're not dead, they're not done. And that God still has a tremendous purpose for their life. And we really try to meet people who feel like they're forgotten. That's who we like to pursue and go after. So we do these tours about 2 times a year, where we bring a whole team together of musicians, hip hop artists, dancers, and formerly incarcerated individuals. And we connect with prisons around the state in the upper Midwest. And we kind of travel and just go event to event, back to back to back, sharing faith, sharing hope, and just really letting people know if they're not dead, they're not done. And man, they still have a tremendous purpose. So that's what you're about to see is just some of our visits and how we connected with people. We've really started a big push in fitness as well. So you will see a clip in there with some fitness, and that's called the Change Games, where we've implemented CrossFit into some of our events now too, to really not only help people's souls but help their bodies too and help their minds. So
love that.
Yeah.
Sounds excellent. So let me get that video queued up and we'll get that going right here. And so tell me a little bit about kind of what we're seeing here.
So this right here was at the North Dakota State Penitentiary. We invite everyone in the penitentiary to come. They have a sign-up sheet, about 100 guys that came. We had a live hip-hop show with a formerly incarcerated rapper named E.I. the King out of Tampa, Florida. God has changed his life and done great things in him. We brought in individuals from Evangel Church in Bismarck, Sober Talk, Brother Brandon, and really just connected with individuals who were incarcerated for the day and just brought them hope and the idea and belief in a second chance in themselves.
Fantastic. And you see some of that fitness stuff too,
Yeah.
Just super cool.
Yeah.
Now, learning a little bit about your background as we prepared for the interview, I just thought some things really stuck out to me. One is you are a former member of the Fargo Police Force.
Yeah.
And now you moved out here from California. Tell me a little bit about why you came out to Fargo and your time in the Fargo PD.
Yeah, sure. So, honestly, like, I had like a kind of a crazy transformation. Like, God just changed my life radically in California. And I was really stuck, and I got unstuck, and my sister was living here. And so I was like, hey, I would love to come visit and see what it would be like to just visit the upper Midwest and check it out. I came in February, which was a mistake, bro. It was super cold.
Yeah.
And but I'll tell you what, it was the people that really stood out to me and the connections I would make. And so I went back to California and really just began to think and dream of what it would look like to live here. Came back in March, and I've been here ever since. And then I got into law enforcement in 2011. I started working at the Cass County Sheriff's Office, and then joined the Fargo Police Department in 2014. That was one of the greatest times of my life. Working with the individuals I got to work with, connect with. Some of the greatest humans I've ever worked with were at the Fargo PD, but also some of the greatest people I've ever met in the community was because of that job. And we just saw a need, and in those needs that we would see, we would try to meet those needs. We had chiefs that backed us and leaders that backed us, and we would just connect with youth, we'd connect with adults. We started going into treatment centers, we started going into jails, and it was just a tremendous thing to be able to do in law enforcement, coming in with a badge on, but you're not enforcing law, you're enforcing change, and really just trying to help people out of their brokenness. So it was a great experience in law enforcement for sure.
I love what you're saying there about trying to really facilitate that change. I feel like there's a lot of times, somebody's causing problems, and so you put them somewhere where they are going to cause less problems.
Yeah.
But I think that it is important to help people have that change, and it really says that right in the mantra, if you will. If you're not dead, you're not done.
Yeah, totally. And in law enforcement, sometimes you have to be that authority that really makes a situation safe, a scene safe. You de-escalate, and you have to change some things. But the follow-up is really teaching people how to follow through, and those who are incarcerated learning how to follow through on themselves, follow through on their goals, follow through on their gifts, follow through on seeking sobriety, and realizing that no matter how many times they've fallen back, we can still help them move forward, and just trying to get them to be the best parents they can, the best leaders they can, to get back to work, back into housing. And so that's always been like a passion of mine. It's easier said than done sometimes. Like our police officers in this metro and around the country have one of the most difficult jobs in the world. They do such a good job at it. Because it never ends, and so you're always bringing hope, but you're always meeting so many people in hopeless situations that they feel are hopeless, and you have to try to remind them that it's not. And it's a constant battle back and forth. So I love the job, and I respect the people who do it so much.
It seems like you learned a ton through your experience as a police officer. Tell me about what you learned there and how that helped you come to your current project, which definitely more falls into the ministry side of things.
Yeah. I think the ministry passion was always there. Law enforcement, for me, what I learned there was change takes time. People changing takes a lot of time. Seeing people, a lot of the people that we were working with trying to help change, there was always setbacks. But what I was really trying to learn and understand is that when people would end up back in prison, it's more like a pit stop. Okay, let's revisit now what you did wrong this time. Let's revisit your gifts, your goals. So it's like understanding, just trying to help people when they get out of that pit stop to move forward towards their purpose again. And so I would say in law enforcement, I learned that. I also just learned how to talk to people in crisis, how to talk to people who are in their mind and out of their mind, because you would talk to people in both situations. I mean,
Sure.
A lot, and how to handle them with dignity and respect and love, and how to even learn from the mistakes you'd make, because no police officer is perfect. So just going through those battles you'd make as an officer, and the mistakes you'd make, and how to fight through those. And so I just love that. And then over time, what ended up occurring was we started doing these Christmas events at the juvenile hall, and we would bring in hip-hop artists and Christmas Christmas gifts from Shields, and Shields would provide them for us. And all of a sudden, I realized when I was there with those individuals who were locked up, especially the youth, I just felt like I was home. And so that's really what got me on the career path of wanting to maybe leave law enforcement and pursue people who are incarcerated more full-time.
And so that's a very interesting evolution
Yeah.
to hear there. And it sounds like it really comes from a place of compassion and understanding. How were you able to then help some of these people, especially the youth, turn a new page and kind of get things going on the right track?
Yeah, it's a great question. From the youth side, it is such a unique thing, because the youth, so many of the youth I've met who are incarcerated right now, even, I met when I was in law enforcement. And youth who come from crisis, youth who come from parentless homes, foster care, they have so many hurdles they have to jump over. It's very challenging and trying. So I would say just consistently showing up for them, consistently reminding them when you see them again, that they need to get back in school, they need to stay sober, just really working, because you can't take everyone in the sense under your wing, but you can push them towards change. Because if you try to carry everyone's burdens, it weighs you down over time. I mean, you can't save people. So I had to learn that quick. That was like a sobering thought, was like, you can't save everybody, but you can challenge them towards change and challenge them towards bettering themselves and lead them towards resources in the communities that provide that work. And the same goes with adults. You know, we meet a lot of adults right now in Cass and Clay County who are stuck. And they need a nudge, they need a push. And a lot of them, it's so funny, the world can buy into them, but they don't buy into themselves. And it's teaching individuals who are stuck how to buy into themselves, how to believe in themselves, how to buy in that they can change their life, they can be great parents, they can be good kids for their parents, whoever they are, and just teach them how to buy into their self-esteem and their self-worth.
And when you do something like this, I'm sure not just from the current project, but a lot from being a police officer as well. So not just now, but what have you learned throughout the journey, and then how have you used that to apply the way you do things, not just what you do?
Oh, that's great, man. Well, I hear this term a lot. The system is broken. And I would say I've learned the system is not broken, people are broken. And people's brokenness all looks different. That's what's crazy. That's why we have jails and mental health institutions, treatment centers for alcohol, but then treatment centers for drugs, rape and abuse crisis centers, to just straight up downtown homeless shelters. Like, everyone's brokenness looks different. And that's why the system has such a hard time trying to fix everything and fix everyone. It's because people are broken, they're messed up. And so what I've looked at, like when we started Hip Hop and Hope, was I try to look at first, what do I love? I love music, I love hip hop. I was rapping on a karaoke machine when I was 6. Like, I just love music, you know? So I was like, how do I apply what I know? You know, because I don't want to ever do something that I'm not, or be something that I'm not. And then it was like, well, this is how it started, was what do youth love? And then it was, again, hip hop.
Okay.
And it was like, I feel like all kids kind of have this common vibe of they love instrumentals, they love good music.
Yeah.
They love a concert. They love publishing themselves, or it's making YouTube or TikTok. So how can we connect them in a sense with a vibe that, whether they're incarcerated or free, how can we connect them in such a way to music, to ministry, to dance? And so that's where that theme came from, and that focus came from, was every time we go into a prison, what if we open every event with a hip hop show?
Oh, wow.
And so that's what we do now. So when we go in, music starts, it's loud, there's break dance, there's music, and all the walls just start to come down. And every wall that someone had up, it starts coming down, and people start moving, and people start connecting.
Because they just feel comfortable.
They feel comfortable, and honestly, for people who are incarcerated, they feel free.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, all of a sudden,
music is free.
Yeah. It's like, for that 2 hours, they're not necessarily in jail, they're in a community. And that community cares about them, and that opens up doors. And something that we've seen work tremendously well is we do this thing in our events called 5 Minutes of Fire, where we invite anyone who has poetry, spoken word, or music to come up, and they have 5 minutes or less to share their best thing, their best poem, their best music.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and that sometimes goes the best. We could bring in musicians and guest speakers, but when we have the kids or the adults come up and open their notebooks and share their hearts and their stories, one is you see how much tremendous talent there is, but they've never applied that talent outside of the walls. And another is you really hear the stories, and you almost want to start weeping for some of these youth or individuals from the stuff they've went through. So
absolutely. And I feel like I used to do some slam poetry back in the day, especially high school. I would compete in slam poetry, and I remember how nervous I would get. And there's a level of vulnerability going up there to perform.
Huge.
But with kind of getting through that, you also kind of let some of your guard down. You kind of take your shield down a little bit, and then it does provide a chance, I would imagine, where you're able to then better connect, because you're like, all right, I've become a little vulnerable with these people, and now perhaps gives you a chance and the people you're working with to then some of that change can make way in their hearts.
100%. And not only that, but when people accept them for who they are, because when people share their stuff, they're actually saying who they are.
Right.
And when they feel accepted, I mean, that just opens up another door of vulnerability. And vulnerability is really the key to understanding like where people really are. You know, people can come in with their walls up and not really share where they are, who they are, how they're feeling. But when we can get them vulnerable in music, poetry, spoken word, it's just a great way for like the walls to come down, for people to express themselves.
Yeah.
One thing people, I think, miss about incarcerated people is so many incarcerated people carry so much regret. They regret their decisions, they regret their choices, they regret losing their children. You hear it a lot, you see it a lot. And there's a lot of desire to change and they just need tools to guide them and lead them and help them along the way. So it's so fun to hear people's stories and hear their hearts and hear how they want to grow as leaders and individuals.
No, one thing that I think is super cool is you guys have actually had people who have changed their lives, and then they come back and they help with the mission.
Yes, it's incredible, man. And not only that, but like we have a gentleman right now that we connected with at Teen Challenge, and he's at a Bible college seeking a ministry degree.
Wow.
And he's someone we want to see come and speak at our events. There's a gentleman we met at the North Dakota State Penitentiary who's out now, and he's in like a halfway spot. He's reunited with his daughter. We're excited to network with him and work with him again. We're just seeing a lot of fruit. Here's the thing: it's not just from our labor; it's fruit from everyone's labor.
Mm-hmm.
Like groups like F5 in Fargo, groups like the Jail Chaplains, Hearts of Clay Ministry. These are all local, different groups that do great work. There's so many amazing organizations that it's not the fruit from just our labor; it's the fruit from everyone's labor. Just pursuing people and trying to help them with their second chance at life.
And talk about the hip hop. So obviously you're coming from a long passion. You said you used to be doing the karaoke hip hop from when you were a 6-year-old. Do you have any favorite artists or people or particular artists who maybe helped inspire the hip hop side of this for you?
Yeah. Growing up, I just remember I had a VHS of this old school rapper named T-Bone. I would play it, and I had this karaoke machine, and I would rap to it when I was like 5 or 6, and I got to memorize the one song that was on there. But T-Bone was this dude from California, the Bay Area. He was one of my most inspirational artists growing up as a kid. Always listened to him. He was incredible. And then, honestly, DMX, Eminem, Tupac, and just like Nas, just different artists, Fabulous, all these different genres, but then of rap, should I say, Tech Nine, Andre Nicotina, but then as rap evolved, and music has evolved with Spotify and Apple.
Big time.
Now it's like, you can hear an artist that just lives in like nowhere, Minnesota, and they have incredible music.
Yeah.
And you're inspired by their voice and their music. So it's like, music nowadays, there's so much talent out there. I'm inspired by everybody.
And it's melting together. It's evolving music as a whole. A guy who comes to mind, especially talking to you, is Modest Yahoo. Are you familiar with him?
No.
Oh, check him out. So he used to be a rabbi.
Okay.
And so all his music it's kind of like a sound of reggae, rap, rock, but it's all about God. It's
so
about
cool.
helping people, a lot about helping the youth. But he's just this guy from kind of nowhere, Minnesota, as you mentioned. But it is evolving. That's the beauty of music, right?
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody. I was going to a blues festival in Chicago, and he said, "Well, is blues like jazz?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah. And rock is like blues, and blues is like rock.
Yeah.
And jazz is like blues, and jazz can be like rock too.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like you have the pioneers, you have the people who come out, the Robert Johnsons, the Muddy Waters, who kind of set the tone for people are inspired. They're like, wow, the things he's doing with the guitar, the things he's able to do with the rhythm, and then it sets the stage for an Elvis. And now you go into I think it was Doja Cat had the song, and I remember I'm at an NDSU basketball game, and I said, "That's Big Mama Thornton," and then someone's like, "Who was that?" I'm like, "Oh," but they took the hook.
Yep.
And so you see it all kind of dip back into each other, and it's beautiful to see it evolve.
Yeah, it is, and it's in everything. And like when you said specifically the hook, and you see hooks from hip hop and country, you see hooks from country and hip hop and R&B. It's really fun to just see how music has made its way. It's just in everything. It's in everything. It pours into every genre of music, so it's really awesome.
Now, have you made any music yourself?
Yeah, a little bit. I wrote a few songs. When I was in law enforcement, I used to rap quite a bit.
Okay.
What we would do at that time was we'd make music videos, and we would have youth as our like stars of the videos.
Wow.
So like the first video we ever made was called Unity, and we had kids from Jefferson Elementary School, Fargo South High School as like the stars dancing in it.
Okay.
They killed it too. It was awesome. And then like we actually rented like a limo for them. We had this red carpet event at the Fargo Theater downtown. The mayor was there, chief of police. We handed them out like what would be like Grammy Awards, but they were like big like plaques, and just like thanked them. And it was so fun. And then we made another video called It's Time, and And that video really showcased our city and the unity of our city and the diversity. So like new Americans to business owners to everything like that. That was a lot of fun. And so for me, music has always been a way, how can we unite people? How can we share a story of positivity? And you know, at the time when I was a police officer, Michael Brown had passed away. It was pre-George Floyd, but there was so much still like tension in the country. So it was really a time to just show people like just be who you are no matter what uniform you wear, and unite people with how you know how to unite them with the gifts you have. So, yeah.
That's beautiful to hear. Now, you chose to stay in Fargo.
Yeah.
You're really dedicating your life at this point to helping this community, and you're visiting these schools. You're going to visit these different prisons. So, I'm sure you want to help more people than just people in the valley. But what made you fall in love with the valley and want to give back in such a big way?
That's a great question. I think my family's been rooted here, so that's become a big part of it. That's become a big passion of it. Is like I love that my kids are here, my wife is here. I just love our setup as a family and the community that we have. But then also, you know, the Cass County Jail has over 300 inmates in it, and I would even call them incarcerated individuals. Over 300. Clay County has over 100. The Juvenile Detention Center has usually 40 to 60. We have youth treatment centers all over, so it's like, you know, you can kind of go anywhere, but there's a massive need here. There's a massive need. As long as there's a foster care system in a community, there's a problem. As long as there's a homeless shelter, there's a problem. There's just a need here. And the more I invested in this community, I was like, I just want to be a part of trying to meet it. I felt like it became my responsibility in a way of like a passion. Like I just want to pursue people who have these needs. And Fargo just feels like it's home, and that's where we're going to be. I hope for the next decade or so or more, you know, just pursuing people and helping people.
Philosophically, you know, we talk about promoting change. And so what is your view on how you can help someone proactively before they even get to the point where maybe they are needing to kind of turn their life around? How can you help people, perhaps especially when you guys are visiting schools? How do you help them from making those bad decisions in the first place?
Yeah, because it really depends on where your age demographic does matter.
Right.
Schools, whether it's schools or adults. With youth, I try to give like super proactive tips and tools.
Okay.
Just realizing like you could be a really gifted person. Like talent can get you in most doors, but character keeps you in those doors.
Love that.
So it's like working with kids and teaching them little life skills, small life skills, like just understanding that like you run at the pace in your life of your reputation.
Okay.
So it's like if you really want to make it somewhere, what's said about you really matters. From coaches and teachers, resumes, when colleges call about you, what is said about you. And so just understanding, man, have a great reputation.
Yeah.
Have great character. Be known for being a leader in your school or in your community. Some of the other kids we work with that have higher needs, who come from more places of despair and brokenness. I mean, there are kids who come from just heaviness. Those are challenges, man. Those are day by day, because it goes back to like everyone's brokenness looks different.
Yeah.
And so some kids are just trying to eat, and it sounds like, oh, is that true? But it's like, no. Like some kids are just like, I haven't eaten in a day. I haven't washed my clothes in a week. I stink like BO. I'm not gonna tell anyone that, but that's how I feel. Like you meet kids who are in the trenches sometimes. And so for them, it's day by day and just loving them where they're at. And just being like, God, I can't fix all these problems, but how can we fix one? How can we bring someone in their life that can fix it, or whatever we can do? With adults, it's kind of the same thing, but it's really, adults need healthy routines. Like adults need to understand what a healthy diet is. Adults need to understand what a healthy community is. And understand just like, man, the communities we have carry us. And so just teaching these adults who are incarcerated or in treatment to just find new communities who are sober that will carry them into sobriety, carry them into a better life and a better future. And so like all around that's really like I would say a goal of ours.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Basically, you know, being able to foster the right environment to promote change or promote just good decisions, to be proactive with the approach is basically what you're saying.
100%.
Okay. I love that. So you've been at this project for 2 years.
Yeah.
How's it grown and how's it going?
It's grown well and it's going well. Running a nonprofit is super difficult and it's super rewarding, because you never can take your foot off the fundraising gas pedal. you always have to fundraise, you always have to write grants, you always have to seek out different connections in the community, because you just got to keep feeding this thing to move your ministry or move your mission. Money moves missions, it just does. And when you're a nonprofit, you just got to keep moving. And for us, we started this faith and fitness program called Elevate, and that is where we go into the jails, casting clay, and we do a CrossFit fitness class, and then we do a life skills Bible study after the class.
Okay.
That thing has really grown, even from a leader's perspective. We have more leaders helping us now than we've had. And then we held our first CrossFit event at a prison in Bismarck this last year, and we're hoping to host 2 of those next year. We're doing a Montana State Penitentiary tour in March next year.
Wow, so you're getting outside of the state, really?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
That's amazing.
And we're excited. We're going to go to Deer Lodge, Montana, where the state
Okay.
pen is, and Miles City, and then Shelby is the goal to get up there. So we're trying to expand that way too, and just keep pursuing people who are locked up, while also doing a lot of, like this Christmas here, we'll be doing a lot of work in the Cass and Clay County Jail, the Downtown Engagement Center that serves our local homeless. We're doing Christmas outreaches events there. So we're busy. We're growing. We're going, man.
That sounds great.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
how can people get involved? How can people help?
Honestly, financial support is huge. If anyone ever has a heart for what we do, as I said, money moves our mission. So if you ever want to become a donor, donate, you can donate through our website, hiphopandhopetours.org. You just click donate on that. You can also contact us on Instagram at hiphopandhope_.
I'm gonna give you the mouse here, and I'm gonna have you just show people precisely how they can donate.
Yeah. So you just click give right from the website, and then give now, and then you can select to just give one time through the website, or you can select to be a monthly or annually giver. But that's huge for us. I mean, you wouldn't believe what $20 or $30 a month does for us, especially if 3 to 5 people do that a month. It just helps us grow and build. We don't need tons of money in the sense from every person. It's just if everyone who believes in our mission can give a little here and there, it's incredible. It just helps us move forward. And then people who have a passion to come in and teach or connect or instruct, would love for them to email us at hiphopandhopetours@gmail.com.
Okay.
So hiphopandhopetours@gmail.com. Email us, connect with us. We love building our volunteer base to go in and work with people.
Awesome. Big question I got for you, because you brought up God a lot. You talked about the ministry side of things, and so
Yeah.
you talked about the work you've done. What kind of work has God done to make this mission happen, and what kind of change have you seen on the big picture?
Yeah, totally, man. Great question. I just bring God up a lot because God is my brand. Like, He changed my life, so I mean, that's just who I am. It's not like I'm trying to push on anyone. It's more so it's just my brand and who I am as a human. And, but we've seen God just really soften the hearts of people who I think had really hard hearts and didn't know how to make them soft. We've seen God just move mountains. We were at the North Dakota State Penitentiary this last summer, and we actually had a gentleman there who had been there for several months, and he had actually been, I didn't know this at the time, talking to his girlfriend and saying, I really want to get baptized, but they don't offer baptisms here.
Okay.
I really want to get baptized, really want to get baptized. Well, when we came in July, the prison is so amazing in Bismarck. They're incredible. Travis Collins, who's the programs guy there, is fabulous. They allowed us to set up a baptism tank.
Wow.
And we had over
okay.
35 guys get in the tank in their outfits and get water baptized. And one of them was this guy who had been praying and just, he's like telling his girlfriend, I want to get water baptized. And one of the greatest things about the baptism event was we had guys of every color and gang affiliation in that room. And they were hugging each other, embracing each other. We had honestly staff say it was a very unique setting to see the different races connect like that.
Wow.
Because in prison there's politics and there's just different things you see that are just common in prison culture.
Well, I mean, in the different colors you wear,
Yeah.
everyone's wearing the same colors
Yep.
in a pen, but they still know who is wearing different colors on the outside.
Yeah. And so just to see that, it was beautiful. And we were able to do the same thing in Jamestown a couple years ago and just saw a lot of fruit from that. And honestly, locally, it's this fitness program where we're connecting with people on just such a real level that our dream would be to expand into some of our treatment centers. So when guys get out of jail, we can stay connected with them and keep working out with them and just
Okay.
helping them improve their life.
Very good. Sounds like this has a lot of potential to grow in a multitude of ways. And I love, I always kind of think about like candles, you know what I mean? You can light one candle, it can light another candle, lights more candles. You got a big old room
Yeah.
with a lot of light in there. And so have you seen any of these people then go on? I know you talked about some have even come back, but how have you seen these people, after changing their lives, go on and help other people change their lives?
That's a great question, man. So I have a couple of friends right now who actually help us, and I didn't know them at the time in their addiction, but we're in deep addiction to heroin, meth, and they are some of the most powerful speakers who come in and share with us about how they've been sober, how they found sobriety, and the response that they get from the individuals who know what it's like to feel hopeless in addiction. Like, I want to change so bad, but this thing owns me. This thing controls me. But when they see and hear from those people, it's just moving, man. It's moving. It's incredible to hear and incredible to see. And then when we brought our friend EI up from Tampa, Florida, he did 12 years of state time in Florida. And now he's reunited with his kids. He's teaching them how to drive. So even having him share his story with individuals who are incarcerated, and them, again, same shoes. They understand he wore prison shoes, prison blues. Like, man, and seeing the transparency and what that does for them is just, it's unbelievable.
I mean,
it's amazing.
You can see the change. I feel like that's got to be so helpful for someone looking to make change. If they feel hopeless, be like, well, look at this guy. This guy did it.
Yes.
Everyone's journey is different, but you can look at people with similar paths or who've made some similar mistakes, and you can learn from their mistakes too.
Yeah. So. Yeah, definitely, man. So it's been good.
Awesome. Anything else you want to add before we let you get back to it?
Man, I just want to say thanks for having me on today. It's an honor to meet you, Adam. Honor to be on here with you. Love your heart and what you do, and just thanks for having me today. It was a blessing.
Oh, thank you. Been a super fun time. We'll have to have you back again, and keep us, posted on the upcoming events. Anything coming up real soon?
Yeah. So we have a Christmas outreach event at the Cass County Jail, November 7th.
Okay.
So we're gonna make a big lunch, serve it to all those who are incarcerated the day of, and then at night we're bringing in a artist, True Server from Minneapolis, and he's gonna rap, and we have a breakdance team coming from Minneapolis as well that's gonna dance.
Awesome.
And then the following day, November 8th, we will do the same event at the Clay County Jail in Moorhead. And then we have a team of 3 barbers going in at night on November 8th to the Juvenile Detention Center from Skill Cuts Barbershop. And then my good friend Delson from a different barbershop in town is coming with that team as well. And they're going to cut as many heads as they can in the Juvenile Detention Center. Because the kids in juvie, man, we've done it several times. They love a good lineup. Like, if you can come in and line them up, and these barbers are excellent. So we have some fun events coming up. And then in December, we're going to do a Christmas concert at the homeless shelter, and then we're going to do a Christmas concert again at the juvenile hall, and then we have a couple of other things coming up with some youth at a treatment center. So
awesome. Keep me posted, my man.
Thanks,
you
brother.
so much.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, and thank you all for tuning in on Valley News Now. That's all for now. Come back a little bit later. We got the Weekend Funcast coming up with Russ. We're checking the score on sports with Devin. We'll see you later.